Republican Congressman Michael Burgess of Texas, Democratic Congressman Peter Welch of Vermont. Congressman, thank you both for being here. Let me begin with Congressman Burgess. Look, is this a sign that perhaps Speaker Boehner caving a little bit, giving some ground, talking about a tax hike for those earning $1 million and more? Are you happy with that proposal?
No, I'm not going to characterize it as happy. I think, what we have seen the last couple of weeks is an absolute refusal on the part of President Obama to engage on this. So perhaps the good news is that at least there's some discussion going on. I can't say that I'm thrilled with the direction of the discussion. And honestly, I do wish it wasn't behind closed doors. Peter and I both belong to a pretty important committee in Congress. And honestly, these discussions should be in the committee room on C-SPAN for all to see.
Congressman Welch, I know you want to increase revenues, therefore tax hikes would be part of your plan. But history has shown us that our money has been just wasted, it seems, over the course of the last couple years to take more money out of the Americans' paycheck right now to pay off debts that, well, we didn't create. It doesn't sound very fair to me.
Well, who did create it? The fact is we owe it. We went to war in Iraq and put it on the credit card. Afghanistan on the credit card. The prescription drug plan was a good plan, but it was paid for by the credit card. So there's a lot of responsibility to go around. The problem is we've got to dig our way out of this debt. I do support the revenue increases. I mean, the president ran on that platform of the top 2%, above $250,000 going back to the Clinton rates. And I'm somewhat encouraged by the progress that I'm seeing. The Speaker is not in favor of raising taxes, but he sees political reality and he's working with the president on that. And he's focusing on trying to get some spending reductions. And you know what? That's an important part of this. And the question for us is whether on health care we're going to be able to find ways to save money that don't require us to basically cost shift onto beneficiaries. And they may be struggling with that right now. But my hope is that these two gentlemen, who I think are working in good faith, can present something to Mike Burgess and I for our consideration.
Congressman Burgess, coming back to you, you've already been very outspoken saying, look, taxes are already going up under Obamacare, but no one's really talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. The 3.8% tax on so-called unearned income that kicks in January 1st, that's baked in the cake. I mean, it's not part of any discussion. It's happening because of the bill the president signed back in 2010. All of the taxes that were embedded in Obamacare were done so in a way to kind of be under the radar screen of the average American. But look, just across the board, capital gains taxes are likely to almost double under the Obamacare regime, and the taxes on dividends, everything else being equal, may go from 15% to 44% January 1st. So these are big deal taxes that are happening, and again, they've been pretty much hidden from the public view. Look, if taxes would solve the problem, then maybe we could talk about that. But the president's talk about the top 2%, he pays for 2 weeks of this fiscal year. What do you do with the other 50 weeks? And all the talk about the Greek yogurt before we came into this segment, we're going to be Greece if we don't get that spending under control.
Oh, don't say that. All right, Congressman Welch, I'm going to go back to you on that because that seems to be the sticking point now is spending. What are we going to do about all these entitlements? 2/3 of the money that comes into our country, it basically goes right back out the door to pay for entitlements because we have so many obligations to cover. We can't even grow this country at this point. Where will you come in? And if John Boehner caved on taxes, where are you going to cave on spending?
Well, in fact, we need to bring down the cost of health care. That's true in Medicare. It's true in our entire health care system. Employers are burdened by an enormous cost increase each year, oftentimes going up far faster than inflation, profits, or wages. And it is because we have a pretty inefficient system, and the incentives are wrong. The fee-for-service system encourages volume. We've got an immense amount of waste in our medical system, even as we also have some of the best medical care in the world. So that's a challenge that we face, and Mike and I on the Energy and Commerce Committee have jurisdiction over health care. So that's something that is not going to be resolved in these discussions, but has to be addressed if we're going to be competitive in the world. I agree with that.
Wait a minute! Don't include me in that discussion on health care. I mean, as you know, Peter, I've fought the battle against the Affordable Care Act from day one. And isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
And we learned in our hearing last week that perhaps because of the reluctance to bring out the rules on the so-called essential health benefits prior to the election, you may have doomed the Affordable Care Act because now the governors can't partake.
I think there's a lot of issues with health care, including the biggest was Nancy Pelosi saying, "We've passed it, now we should read it." Yeah. Congressman Welch, Burgess, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.